Some players honestly deserve the fines they get dished out. If you're swinging on players in a game, you probably deserved it. But these fines are just ridiculous. With Michael Jordan being known as one of the biggest stars in the NBA, he's still been involved in many controversies that caused fines that you won't believe. Back in 1995, Jordan would come back after a near 16-month hiatus from baseball to come back to play basketball in the NBA. Jordan played in the minor league with Chicago, but in March 1995, Jordan opted to make his decision toward basketball to make a return. Jordan wanted to avoid becoming a potential replacement player because the MLB strike was still ongoing. And even though the Bulls retired Jordan's jersey in 1994, they still gave Jordan the chance to wear his old number. But Jordan wanted to have a fresh start, so he'd switch his jersey up to his baseball number, 45. Jordan hadn't played basketball in a year and a half. That didn't stop him from trying to help the Bulls make the playoffs. The Chicago Bulls would make it to the Eastern Conference semifinals before being knocked off by the Orlando Magic. And at the end of Game 1, Jordan would be stripped by Nick Anderson, leading to the game-winning basket for the Magic. Anderson would go on to say after the game, "It didn't look like the old Michael Jordan. Number 45 doesn't explode like number 23 used to." Michael Jordan had something to prove, and he would respond to Anderson next game by scoring 38 points and helping the Bulls secure the win. Anderson woke up a sleeping giant inside Jordan, and he'd averaged nearly 31 points per game for the rest of the series. But what surprised everyone the most was before Game 2, Jordan was seen wearing his old jersey. Many fans loved the switch, but the NBA didn't. After breaking various rule violations, the Bulls were fined $25,000 for not reporting the number change to the NBA. The worst part was, the Bulls ended up paying $100,000 worth of fines because Jordan wore his old jersey to multiple games. But Jordan was also separately fined for wearing a different color shoe from the rest of the team as well. He ended up paying $5,000. Jordan talked about his jersey number decision when he said, "When I came back, I thought 45 was perfect because I did have an association with the number. Bad luck. Didn't take long for me to change back to 23. It was a part of me, but not in the professional basketball environment." Jordan would then finish out his career wearing the number 23 on his back with the Bulls and the Wizards, and left all the expensive fines in the past. With Dennis Rodman always wearing his emotions on his sleeve, he was the subject of many fines over the course of his career. Later in his career, Dennis Rodman would join the Chicago Bulls, quickly adapting to his new team with teammates Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen by his side. Chicago Bulls would go on to win the NBA championship 3 years in a row, winning from 1996 through 1998. Rodman always played tough throughout his career, but this time with the Bulls was definitely the most memorable and dominant. Rodman played aggressively, and he was always getting into some kind of trouble. And on January 15th, 1997, Dennis Rodman got in trouble for kicking a cameraman during a game against the Timberwolves. After going for a rebound, Rodman ended up on the ground on the baseline, and a nearby cameraman turned his camera to Rodman. The player delivered a hard kick to the cameraman's groin and seemed upset. The cameraman reacted to the kick, acted like he was in pain and needed the stretcher to leave the court. Rodman was saying in an interview, "It's one thing to be hurt, but don't pretend you're more seriously hurt than you are. I wasn't trying to hurt somebody. I'm not trying to hurt someone. You got carried off on a stretcher? It was a little bit too dramatic for me. Maybe I'll send us some roses on the floor." The cameraman ended up getting the worst of the altercation, but Rodman ended up paying the price. The NBA fined Dennis Rodman $25,000 for the incident, and he was suspended 11 games. Based on Rodman's salary, he lost nearly $1 million sitting out on those games. And the worst part was, the cameraman ended up taking legal action, which ended in Rodman paying the cameraman $200,000. With LeBron James playing in the league for 16 years, James has been involved in various altercations, from dealing with players, fans, and the media. And he usually remains pretty humble with everything that goes on during games, but one time, he ended up taking it way too far. Back in 2010, James was playing with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and during a game against the Timberwolves, throw a temper tantrum. Upset about not getting a call on a drive to the basket, James was hit with a technical foul for complaining to the refs, with 12.4 seconds left in the quarter, and the Cavaliers up by 1 point. Coach Mike Brown removed James from the game to cool him down, and when James came to the bench, he kicked a water bottle, which sprayed multiple fans with water behind the bench. Sending anything into the stands is against the rules, and James could have been ejected from the game if the officials saw him do it. And the NBA ended up taking action against him, giving LeBron a $25,000 fine, making his game check that week a little shorter. That was actually the second time within a 7-month span that James had been hit with a $25,000 fine. He was fined the previous year after not speaking to the media following the Eastern Conference Finals loss to the Orlando Magic. With Vladimir Radmanovic being known for his contribution alongside Kobe with the Lakers, his career ended early after an injury that happened off the court. One of the biggest contracts Vladimir ever signed was a 5-year, $31 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. And once he signed with the Lakers, there were certain clauses in his NBA contract that prevented him from doing any activity that could potentially injure himself. Radmanovic got hurt February 17th when he was in Park City, Utah during the All-Star break. He was expected to miss 2 months of action, and the Lakers were furious. What made matters worse was the fact that Vladimir tried to lie and said that he slipped on ice while walking. The truth is, Vladimir ended up snowboarding over All-Star break, and after taking a huge fall, he ended up separating his shoulder. The general manager at the time started to discuss the Vladimir situation by going on to say, "We discussed internally among our coach, ownership, and management a variety of disciplinary options. I thought this was the fairest and most appropriate action. We consider this a closed issue, and now look forward to Vlad's return to action, where he'll be able to use his talents to help our team." And Vladimir would go on in the same interview and say, "It's fair for what I did. I just want to move forward and try to get healthy and get back on the court. The Los Angeles Lakers could have voided Vladimir's contract altogether because he never snowboarded in his life and caused a significant injury to himself. Taking away that 5-year, $31 million deal could have destroyed his career, but Vladimir still had to pay a significant fine. The Lakers ended up fining Vladimir $500,000, which ended up being 10% of his first year's salary. He went on to say, "I didn't do it. I'm really grateful for that," but talking about only giving him the fine instead of terminating his contract. Obviously, Vladimir wouldn't appeal the fine, and he probably never snowboard again. Delonte West hasn't played in the NBA for nearly a decade, but when he played, he's always finding interesting ways to get in trouble. Always being involved with altercations between players and teams, West was always running on a short fuse. Now, back in 2012, Delonte was playing with the Dallas Mavericks, and he'd get into one of the weirdest altercations we'd ever seen. During a game against the Utah Jazz, West would get into an altercation with Gordon Hayward, and he'd end up shoving a finger into his ear. Well, the NBA office had to rule this act as an insane taunt, and will no longer be accepted. The league ended up fining West for $25,000 for the altercation. I'm glad to see the league taking a stance on this, so everyone could know that you're not allowed to stick a finger in someone else's ear. The Mavericks coach at the time would go on to say, "I made it clear to him that that's unacceptable. He's a competitive guy, but your competitiveness has to manifest in the right way. By and large, he's had a tremendous year for us, and he's done the right things. I see that as an isolated incident, and I don't see it happening again." J.R. Smith has always been one of the most outspoken athletes the NBA has ever seen, and with Smith constantly speaking his mind, he's made a name for himself collecting various fines. The first NBA fine that occurred in his career would be a heated Twitter exchange between himself and Brandon Jennings. Jennings noted that Chris Smith is in the NBA, though Pooh Jeter and Bobby Brown aren't. J.R. Smith said he's tired of people disrespecting his little brother, responding with a couple of tweets, including one that appeared threatening toward Detroit and was later taken down. Smith would go on to say in an interview, "I'm always in trouble with Twitter. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to shake it." And J.R. Smith would be fined $25,000 for his Twitter finger. That's just a small portion of what he's paid during his entire career. Another huge problem that occurred with J.R. was the fact that he liked untying players' shoes during games. J.R. Smith untied one of Sean Marion's shoelaces on a Sunday night game in Dallas. Nobody was really affected by it, but the league noticed and they gave Smith a warning. He did the opposite of knocking it off, reaching for Greg Monroe's shoelace in an identical situation against the Detroit Pistons. Now, most NBA fans enjoy this type of behavior because it's just so stupid, but the Knicks franchise was frustrated. They understood that it was J.R. Smith's money at stake, but they were sick of the games being played. J.R. Smith ended up being fined $50,000 for trying to untie Greg Monroe's shoelace at the free throw line. Throughout Curry's career, he's always remained calm, cool, and collected. But there are some moments that stuck out, which caused the Warriors superstar to pay fines. Now, back in 2015, Curry was playing against the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals, and towards the end of the game, a situation would happen, resulting in Steph earning himself a fine. Curry attempted a three-pointer, and he fell to the ground after Houston's Terrence Jones came up from behind to try to disrupt the shot. There was only 3 minutes left of the fourth quarter when the incident occurred, and even though Curry flopped, he still made the shot. And Curry would be fined $5,000 for violating the league's anti-flopping rules against the Houston Rockets, and the Warriors ended up getting the victory, but his paycheck ended up being a little lighter. During Game 6 of the 2016 NBA Finals, Curry had managed to pick up 5 fouls by 4:22 left in the fourth quarter. After the 6th foul was called on Curry for stealing the ball from LeBron that apparently had too much contact, Curry stormed up the court and eventually threw his mouthpiece. The 6th foul gave him the ejection, and by throwing his mouthpiece, he'd gotten a technical foul. That mouthpiece had hit the wrong person, hitting the son of one of the Cavs minority owners who was seated in the front row. Curry spoke after the game saying, "I've thrown my mouthpiece before. I usually aim at the scorer's table. I was off aim. Definitely didn't mean to throw it at a fan. That was obviously not where I was trying to take my frustration out, and that move could have easily landed him a suspension, but he was lucky that the association ended up just laying down the law on him via fines." Steve Kerr defended his MVP saying, "He had every right to be upset. He's the MVP of the league. He gets 6 fouls called on him, 3 of them are absolutely ridiculous. He steals the ball from Kyrie Irving clean at one point. LeBron James flops in the last one. Referee Jason Phillips falls for that flop. As the MVP of the league, we're talking about these touch fouls in the NBA Finals." And I get what Kerr's saying here. To have someone as small as Steph Curry, and also being the reigning MVP, get called for 6 fouls, some of them were pretty questionable during the finals. It's probably one of the most frustrating things a basketball player can go through. Back in 2017, Curry would end up throwing his mouthpiece again. The only issue was, this time, it was directed at an official. The Golden State Warriors were playing the Memphis Grizzlies, and both teams didn't like each other. In the final minute of a 111-101 loss in Memphis, Curry drove to the basket and made a layup, but he thought he was fouled on the play. When no whistle was blown, Curry angrily pulled out his mouthpiece and hurled it toward official Scott Wall. Steph would be ejected, Andre Iguodala would be fined for yelling at the official, and even Kevin Durant would be ejected late in the fourth quarter, flashing the Memphis crowd his middle finger while leaving. Curry would end up getting fined roughly $50,000 for throwing the mouthpiece toward the official. As Steph Curry told the media, he was frustrated with everything that occurred. Also, in an interview after the game, Curry would go on to say, "That last play, I thought I got fouled. My frustration boiled over. I did something stupid. I deserved to get kicked out, and that's what happened. I've thrown my mouthpiece plenty of times and thrown it on the floor. It's probably not the best thing to do, but I've done it. I own up to it. I don't think it's a suspension or anything. My pockets would be a lot lighter for sure, though." Then towards the end of the interview, Curry was asked if he intended to throw his mouthpiece at the official, and Curry responded by saying, "I didn't throw my mouthpiece at the ref. I got better aim than that. I threw it out of frustration. I try to throw it at him or hit him, I have pretty good aim. And although Curry didn't intentionally throw his mouthpiece at the referee, I think it's pretty safe to say that he probably earned that fine and that ejection on that one. Hey yo dog, if you don't click on this video on the screen right now dog, I'm finna fine you $25. And I'm gonna take that $25 and I'm gonna go get me some Taco Bell because Taco Bell's pretty fire. And I'm just kind of thinking about burritos right now and like some soft tacos and maybe a cheesy gordita crunch. I should probably just go get Taco Bell, shouldn't I? All right, I'm gonna go get Taco Bell. You guys click on this video, okay? All right, dope, thank you.